Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Crystal Domain. Today we are here with a powerful new deck list featuring the Crystal Beasts coming together with the infamous Snake Eyes engine. An engine that surprisingly goes well with Crystal Beasts in the idea that putting monsters into the spell and trap card zone as removal doesn't quite work with the deck that pioneered the concept in the first place. And when you put them together, you create this potent resource loop of the Snake Eyes, resource engine reusing itself over and over, alongside the ability to special summon spam with the Crystal Beasts. And altogether, I think this creates a powerful list for domain format that could be worth your time to look into, or at least see in a game happening near you soon. So, with that in mind, let's start going over the card by card. I took your advice from last time, and I'm going to be more so talking about things in brackets, the engines, the things that kind of clump together well, right? So we're going to start with the cards that they don't need a lot of explanation. The stuff that I'm more familiar with, the Crystal Beasts and the heroes. So, with the heroes, we have a very small hero engine in this deck. This is because of our deck master. Crystal Keeper is a Fire Warrior Pendulum monster. Its pendulum effect reads each turn, the first time a Ultimate Crystal Monster and/or Crystal Beast card you control would be destroyed by a card effect that turn, it is not destroyed. Then its monster effect. If a Crystal Beast monster you control battles an opponent's monster during damage calc, quick effect, you can tribute this card from your hand or face up on the field, and your battling monster's attack and defense become double its original attack and defense during that damage calc, but it will be destroyed at the end of this damage step. The pendulum effect is quite good. This does give a blanket protection to most of our cards, because Crystal Beast cards does include most of the deck, if I understand correctly. Ultimate Crystal monsters are most of our boss monsters. The ability to protect these things is very good. The bottom ability is also sneakily good. Being able to quick effect from the field, tribute, and protect some of our monsters by doubling their attack can be quite good as well. Noting our domain here is all of the Crystal archetype, the Ultimate Crystal archetype, Warrior, and Fire, which is hence why we're able to run the Snake Eyes engine, but also we could sneak in a little bit of that mentioned hero package. So, we obviously run Elemental Hero Neos, we run Neos Fusion in order to access the fusion summoning for Rainbow Neos. Our boss monster culmination of Jaden and Jesse coming together to create the ultimate monster. This thing's got 4,500 attack, massive beat stick, with 3 different abilities. You can send a monster you control to the graveyard, uh, in order to shuffle all monsters your opponent controls into the deck. You can send a spell trap you control to the graveyard to shuffle their back row into the deck. Or you can send a card from the top of your deck to the graveyard and shuffle all cards from your opponent's graveyard into the deck. Massive AoE removal of monsters, of spell traps, or their graveyard, which could be very relevant. All of these, of course, only you can pick one of them per turn, and the added bonus of with Neos Fusion, you get protection, where you can banish Neos Fusion from the graveyard in order to protect the summoned Neos Elemental Hero monster. Neos is just a vanilla. We're not going to be doing much with him. He is tutorable in the deck if we need to get him out of the deck, because of like bricking and things like that. Then we can move on to the Crystal Beast side of the deck. We, of course, are running Rainbow Dragon. The idea is to get this kind of card out in order to summon Rainbow Overdragon, or more specifically, Ultimate Crystal Rainbow Dragon Overdrive, the big finisher of the deck. You want to get out this guy to have an 11k beat stick and win the game with it. It's pretty much that simple. It's always been that way. Rainbow Dragon can also be a way to end the game as a big beat stick. And then we have our main Crystal Beast monsters. I am not running the advanced versions of the creatures because I don't really think there's room. I'll be honest, I wanted room for more interesting cards that I don't always run. So I opted out of the advanced engine to keep down the clutter. So we are running all 7 of the original Crystal Beasts, including Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, which is a good extender. You're able to special summon it from hand during battle, which can be very useful in your finishing up a game. It's a 3K beat stick. It has the similar effects of if it gets blown up, it goes to the spell and trap card zone. And after that, further than that, when it's in the continuous spell zone, you can banish it and special summon a level 4 or lower Crystal Beast monster from your deck, but you negate its effects. And then if you do, you add an ultimate crystal monster from deck to hand, which will be Rainbow Dragon. Basically just, really good extender. This allows us to get our level 4 bodies out to go into our level 4 extra deck plays or our Link 2 plays and beyond. Just a good extender to start the game off. Pegasus is, of course, the starter it's always been. Pretty much anytime it's summoned from anywhere, you place a Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard into the spell and trap. Very good ability. Amber Mammoth is kind of a brick. It can redirect an attack of a Crystal Beast to it instead. Topaz Tiger buffs itself during combat by 400 attack. Cobalt Eagle can bounce a Crystal Beast card to the top of the deck, which can be pretty good. Amethyst Cat allows it to attack directly, but its attack is halved, not really relevant. Emerald Tortoise can target one monster I control and change it to defense position, which can be kind of helpful, I guess. Ruby Carbuncle's an all-star. You special summon it from the spell and trap card zone, and when it is special summoned, you can bring forward all the Crystal Beasts from your back row, which is what we're going to be doing a lot. We are going to be abusing this card with its own ability to do so with the Crystal Beast cards, and the Snake Eyes ability to bring forward cards from the spell trap, and just go crazy with special summoning and flooding the board. Crystal Master, my other deck master for the Yubel variant. It can prevent your ultimate crystal monsters or Crystal Beast cards from being targeted with its pendulum effect, or you can tribute it and add a ultimate crystal monster, a Crystal Beast monster, or a Crystal Spell Trap from deck to the hand. Very good tutor ability. This deck does a lot of tutoring, and we added more of that with various other generic cards we'll cover later that fit this deck of searching out its answers. Crystal Bond, add a Crystal Beast monster from deck to hand, place one on spell and trap. Just good tutoring. Rainbow Bridge tutors out as Crystal Spell Trap. Golden Rule places 2 Crystal Beast monsters from your deck face up in Spell Trap. Then you special summon a monster, a Crystal Beast monster from your hand or graveyard with a different name, and then equip it with this card. This is a huge part of the decks, being able to flood out the Crystal Beast names, and getting 3 of them out of the deck or off the hand is very good. Rainbow Bridge of the Heart is searchable in this deck by most of the deck's ability to search, and it allows you to do a additional normal summon of a Crystal Beast monster, on top of the fact of you can destroy a Crystal Beast card you control or in hand, and add a Crystal Spell Trap from deck to hand. If a Crystal Beast card is placed in your spell and trap card zone, even during the damage step, you can target a card your opponent controls, and return this card and that card to the hand. Bouncing is a very good form of removal, and this deck is very good at it, so using this to flood the board with additional normal summons, destroying your own cards, which then, if they are destroyed, they're sent to the spell trap, which then can be resummoned by the various means of our deck, of course, and then bouncing opponent's cards, very good. This is a mill target, Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. You want to mill this card, because then when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it from graveyard, add a Crystal Beast monster, and a field spell from your deck to your hand, any field spell. We are running 3 field spells in this deck, which we will cover later, but actually 4 field spells, sorry. I always forget Multi-Universe is technically a field spell. But it is a Foolish Burial Goods target, and you want to send it. It is also good to mill with other cards. Crystal Boon can special summon up to 2 Crystal Beast monster cards from your spell trap, and if you do, you gain life points equal to their combined original attack. And then if a Crystal Beast card is placed in your spell trap card while this is in the graveyard, Even during the damage step, you can banish it and excavate the top card of your deck. If it is a Crystal Beast monster, either add it to your hand or special summon it. Otherwise, you send it to the graveyard. This is a good way of getting life points back, which is very important in a 4-player game. Also, summoning cards out to protect you is quite good. Crystal Brilliance is a continuous trap that you can only control one of it. Pretty much, your Crystal Beast gain attack equal to their original defense, making Sapphire Pegasus, as an example, a 3k beat stick. If a Crystal Beast monster or card is placed in your spell and trap card zone, even during the damage step, you can send this face-up card to the graveyard and special summon a Crystal Beast monster from your hand or graveyard. Also, any damage you take this turn is halved. Good to protect ourselves. Crystal Conclave, namesake of Conclave Control. Once per turn, if a face-up Crystal Beast monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon a Crystal Beast monster from your deck, and you can send this face-up card from the field to the graveyard. Then you can target one Crystal Beast card you control and one card on the field, return them to the hand. Similar to Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, just a control card, but also if they are just blowing up your Crystal Beast, you summon more of them from the deck. Crystal Miracle is our negate. Basically, if anything happens, spell trap or monster effect is activated, you can destroy a Crystal Beast card you control, and then if you do, destroy and negate the card that was activated. If a Crystal Beast card is placed in your spell and trap card zone while this card is in grave, even during the damage step, you can banish this card and place a Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or grave face up into your spell and trap as a continuous spell. This is a good negate. We run a number of negate abilities in this deck, so it is good to have even more of them, and this one in Engine is good to destroy our cards, to put them in the spell trap, activate the effects, good resource loop. Now we're going to move on to the Snake Eyes cards. We got our first one in Flameburge. You can target a face-up monster on the field or in either graveyard and place them face-up in their owner's spell and trap as a continuous spell. And then during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target one monster card treated as a continuous spell, special summon it to your field. If this card is sent from hand or field to the graveyard, special summon 2 level 1 fire monsters from your graveyard. You can only use each of these effects once per turn. The idea is to use the Snake Eyes engine to get this card out, and then using its ability to flip cards around and put them into the spell trap, and then summon forward those cards. Things like Pegasus, Carbuncle, those are the main goals, to then flood the board with more cards. Snake Eyes Diabellstar is a recurable monster that kind of brings itself back over time. When an attack is declared involving this card and an opponent's monster, you can send this and the opponent's monster into the spell and trap card zone. And while this card is a continuous spell, you can target a fire monster in your graveyard, except Diabellstar. Place it face up in the continuous spell zone, and if you do, you special summon this card. Very good ability to just recur it over and over, continuing our loop of sending cards to the spell and trap card zone, which is a lot harder for other decks to deal with, where we're good at it. We're the best at it, actually. So, you know. Then, Snake Eyes Oak, level 1. This card is normal or special summoned, actually real quick. I do want to note that these are level 8s, which is why in the extra deck we are running Garunix Eternity, which is in here for a board wipe. Snake Eyes Oak, if this card is normal or special, you can target one of your level 1 fire monsters that is banished or in grave, and add it to hand or special summon it. You can send 2 face-up cards you control to the graveyard, including this one, and special summon a Snake Eye monster from your hand or deck except Oak. And then we have Ash, and we also have Poplar, and we have Birch. We're running all the Snake Eyes monsters. We obviously can't run Diabellstar. She is outside of the domain. Snake Eyes Ash, if this card is normal or special, you can add a level 1 fire monster from your deck to your hand. And then you could send 2 face-up cards you control to the graveyard, including this one. And special summon a Snake Eyes monster from your hand or deck. The idea of this engine is to get out Poplar. And then after that, you want to get out Flameburge, and you start doing a loop of summoning these cards. Snake Eyes Poplar, if this card is added to the hand except by drawing it, you can special summon this card. If this card is normal or special, you can add 1 Snake Eyes Spell Trap from your deck to your hand. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a fire monster in your graveyard and place it face up in the spell and trap card zone. Snake Eyes Birch, if you control a fire monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Birch once per turn this way. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can send 2 face-up cards you control to the graveyard, including this card. Special summon 1 Snake Eye monster from your hand or deck, except Snake Eyes Birch. This is just, it's all part of this resource loop of putting cards in the spell trap, summoning them forward, utilizing the ability of the Crystal Beast like Carbuncle to then flood the board with the Crystal Beast as well. It's a very good combo of cards coming together. Original Sinful Spoils Snake Eyes. Summon another face-up card you control to the graveyard, and then you can special summon a level 1 fire monster from the hand or deck. You can banish this card from the graveyard and target a Snake Eyes or Diabellstar monster in your graveyard. Add 1 level fire monster, level 1 fire monster from your deck to your hand, and then place the targeted monster on the bottom of the deck to, again, resource loop. Sinful Spoils of Subversion. This one allows us to target a monster on the field and just send it to the spell trap. This is a good removal, dealing with annoying monsters on the opponent's board. Then we got our field spell, Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes is our first field spell. The one we mainly want to be using. While this card is activated, you can place a Snake Eyes monster from hand, deck, or graveyard into the spell and trap card zone. Level 1 fire monsters you control gain 1100 attack. Once per turn, if your opponent normal or specials a monster, you can target 1 monster card on the field treated as a continuous spell and special summon it to your field. This is any, so it can target stuff like Carbuncle or Pegasus to, again, continue our loop of flooding the board with monsters. It can target Carbuncle to summon Pegasus, and then Pegasus will add more cards to the spell and trap card zone to summon. So this card is just really good at what we want to be doing, so we want to be getting it out as quick as possible. Wanted, Seeker of Sinful Spoils. This is our quick play spell. You can add a Diabellstar monster from deck or graveyard to your hand, which will be Snake Eyes Diabellstar. Then you can target one of your Sinful Spoils spell traps that is banished or in graveyard, except this card. Place it on the bottom of the deck, then draw a card. This is a good resource loop to draw more cards and get access to cards out of the deck. Then we got Startling Stare of the Snake Eyes. If the total levels of Snake Eye monsters you control are 2 or higher, activate one of these effects. You can either target a face-up monster your opponent controls and send it to the spell trap, or you can target a monster treated as a continuous spell and special summon it to your field. Again, this could bring out Snake Eyes monsters, it could bring out Crystal Beast monsters, all good things. So this is our Snake Eyes engine, which does wrap up with its boss monster, Snake Eyes Damned Dragon. This card is a bit generic, actually. So it has to be fusion summoned or special summoned by sending 2 face-up monsters from your spell and trap card zone to the graveyard. So we're going to be doing the secondary effect. We can easily do this with the Crystal Beast engine or the Snake Eyes engine. Very easily done. Then, if it is special summoned, you can target a 1 monster on the field, place it in the spell and trap card zone as a continuous spell. Just, again, removal, 3k beat stick. It is a level 8 monster, which can be relevant for Garunix. So, either way, it all kind of comes together. Now we have a small section for the generic tutor effects. So we got Bonfire. It adds a level 4 or lower Pyro monster from deck to hand. 1 for 1, select a monster from your hand or graveyard and special summon send a monster from hand to the graveyard and special summon a level 1 monster. There's plenty of those. Most of the Snake Eyes monsters are level 1. That's what you're going to be searching for. Rhoda, this searches a level 1 lower or lower warrior monster. This is actually only in the deck for 1 card, which is the Noble Knight's Shield Bearer. So this is a level 4 light warrior. Mainly what we worry about is that you can banish it from hand or field and add a level 6 or lower wind monster, a beast monster from your deck to your hand, which is literally just to get out Sapphire Pegasus. So it is an extender just to get out Sapphire Pegasus if needed. And the Foolish Burial Goods, which will send a spell trap from deck to the graveyard. Usually you're going to want to send like Rainbow Bridge in order to go get a Crystal Beast monster and the Divine Temple of the Snake Eye. Or, depending on the situation, it can also get the Valence field spells, which we're going to cover now. We are running the Shinra Bansho and the Koning Wisen Valence World field spells, alongside Multi-Universe, which is to protect the field spells and also recur them from the graveyard. So Shinra Bansho, when this card is activated, you place a Valence field spell from your deck face up into your opponent's field zone. This does prevent them, it blocks them out of their own field spells. Then if there are 2 cards in the field zones, the turn player can target 1 monster card in their own spell and trap card zone, and special summon that card to their own monster zone in the same column. The turn player can only use this effect of Shinra Bansho once per turn. So again, this allows us to bring cards forward, which is nice. Then Koning Wisen, when this card is activated, you place the other one mentioned, face up in your opponent's field zone, except this card. If there are 2 cards in the field zone, the turn player can target 1 effect monster in your opponent's main monster zone, in the same column as one of the monsters they control, and they shoot them into the continuous spell and trap card zone. If the zone is occupied, destroy the occupying card. That is important to note, because it can also remove spell traps from the opponent's side of the field. We did talk about the Shield Bearer, which is just basically to get out Sapphire Pegasus. Now we're going into some of the generic fire stuff in the deck. So we got Emissary from the House of Wax. This is a level 3 illusion monster. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand. And then, if this card battles a monster, neither card is destroyed by the battle. And at the end of your opponent's battle phase, you can activate this effect. And until the start of your opponent's next battle phase, all attack position monsters your opponent currently controls cannot change their battle position or use as material for fusion, synchro, xyz, or link monsters, and their effects are negated. This card's really strong, and I think is quite good in Domain, and it will be a key part of shutting down the opponent from doing their extended extra deck plays. We're running Hita as an extra body, mostly. She's a fire spellcaster that if a fire monster of ours is destroyed by battle, you can special summon this card from your hand, or vice versa, you could discard this card and one other fire monster in hand to add a fire monster from your deck to your hand with higher attack than the other discarded monster. So you could use this and one of these Snake Eyes monsters to go get like Flameburge or Diabellstar, which is quite good. You could also discard Birch in order to get Poplar as an example, which is quite good. Mostly it's for the secondary effect to special summon itself from the hand as an extra body. Then we have the Absolute House Kurikara Divicarnate. This is a 1500 level 1 fairy monster, fire. It cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be summoned from hand by tributing all face-up monsters on the field that activated their effects this turn in your opponent's monster zone. So it just like eats all their stuff. And it gains 1500 attack for each monster attributed to special summon this card. During your end phase, you can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your own field. This card is a house, and is just phenomenal with this deck. Being able to board wipe them and then take their own monsters and use them as fuel for like link monsters and stuff, perfect. Then we have our Kaiju-esque effects. We got the Fire Kaiju, we got Lava Golem, which tributes 2 monsters, and then we got Sphere Mode, which eats 3 monsters. Then we're going to move on into the more generic cards. These are our, like, generic effects. We got Ebon Sun. If a face-up monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can gain life points equal to their combined original attack. If a monster special summoned face-up from your graveyard, you can target one of them and it gains 1000 attack. If a spell or trap is discarded from your hand to the graveyard, you can target one of them, add it to your hand. This is a good resource loop. You gain attack on the monsters being special summoned from graveyard. Also, you gain life points, which can be really important in a 4-player game, and recurring spell traps if they are discarded by an opponent's effect, which could be quite nice. Pot of Avarice to shuffle in monsters and draw 2. Slash Draw is a mass deck reset. Discard 1 card, set cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard equal to the number of cards your opponent controls, then draw 1 card and show it. If it was Slash Draw, send it to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy as many cards on the field as possible, then inflict 2000 damage to your opponent for each card destroyed and sent to the graveyard by this effect. It will never be Slash Draw. That's kind of the point. But if the card you drew was not Slash Draw, shuffle cards from your graveyard into the deck equal to the number of cards sent from your deck to the graveyard by this effect. This is just to reset your deck, which could be very useful in a longer game. Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity. We don't need those explained. Now we're going to go into removal. We have Giant Trunade, returning all spell and traps on the field to the hand. This could be helpful in resetting our monsters. And also, if we make a mistake and there's too much stuff on field, like too many Crystal Beasts, this can help open the clutter to play other spells and traps, or to reset the Snake Eyes loop. Dark Hole, destroy all monsters on the field. Harpy's Feather Duster, destroy all spell traps the opponent controls. Just good removal for the opponent's stuff. Omega Judgment. This card recently, like a couple weeks back, was talked about in the Discord server, and it's like a must-have for this kind of deck. Target one face-up monster card in your spell and trap and 2 cards your opponent controls and destroy them. Just, we're doing that anyways, but to remove cards from the opponents, it's such a good distribution, like such a good effect. Short Tribute, just destroy everything on the field, good way to get rid of things. Mirror Force to protect ourselves from an opponent's attack. However, it doesn't have to be at us. This can also be to protect another player. Politics can be important in multiplayer games like this. And lastly, we have our hand traps before we go into the extra deck. Ash Blossom, Called by the Grave, Infinite Impermanence. Negate, Graveyard Hate, negates. Now we're going to move on to the extra deck. We've already talked about the Rainbow Dragons. We've talked about Rainbow Neos. We've talked about Garunix and Snake Eyes Dam Dragon. Now we got Promethean Princess, Bestower of Flames. You cannot special summon monsters except fire monsters. You can only use each of the following effects of this card once per turn. During your main phase, you can special summon a fire monster from your graveyard. If a monster special summoned to your opponent's field, while this card is in your graveyard, you can target a fire monster you control and one monster your opponent controls, destroy them, and then special summon this card. While this does lock us out of other effects, there are times we're going to be leaning more on the Snake Eyes engine anyways, and it's good to just use this card as a recurable removal of opponent's cards, and then play this card, which can be quite nice. Nightmare Phoenix, generic, Link 2, and can remove cards from the opponent's back row, which can be quite nice. Hita, the Link monster, this is just good to have. If your opponent is also playing fire, you can take their fire monsters, but more importantly, if it is destroyed while it is in a monster zone by battle or just by an opponent's effect, you can float in a fire monster from your deck to your hand, which could be quite nice. SP Little Knight, it's just good removal, good annoying cards to use. Sunlight Wolf, Link 2, this card is just a good generic Link 2 to play. Not for the Salamangreat part, but it does allow us to add fire monsters from graveyard to hand, which could be quite nice. Almirage is good because of our level 1 low to the ground guys. This can just protect our bigger monsters or stuff we need protecting. And then Salamangreat Raging Phoenix to basically we mostly just use this to get stuff back. You can target one monster, so you can recur this monster, and then it'll gain attack equal to the monster used to that was destroyed by card effect. Then we're running the Pit Knights. These cards are kind of neat. Pit Knight Philly, if it's special summoned to a zone and Link monster points to, you can target one monster you control with 1500 or less attack. It can make a second attack during each battle phase. Also, if it battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage it inflicts to your opponent is doubled. During the standby phase of the next turn, after this card was destroyed by battle or card effect and was sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card. So it's like a recurable thing. This could target our low to the ground guys and make them attack twice. And then if you layer it right, you can play Divine Temple and then make them really big. So then they're like really powerful and hard to deal with. Then Pit Knight early. This is, again, if it's when a monster this card points to activates its effect. Quick effect, you can target an effect monster your opponent controls and make it have 0 attack and negate its effects. And then if it's in the graveyard, you could re-special summon it during the end step, which is quite nice. So these cards are just good to get back. The recurable Link 2s. Then we have Infernal Flame Banshee. This is a 2 level 4 Xyz monster. You can attach a material from this card and take a pirate monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. And if it's banished and you control a pirate monster, you can special summon this card, and if you do, it gains attack equal to the number of your currently banished monsters times 100. This can come up, and it's just a good monster to do a little bit of some recurring stuff. So, again, this will wrap things up for us. This is our Snake Eyes Crystal Beast deck. The idea is to just loop and control the opponent's board by means of we can get stuff back from the special spell and trap card zone. They cannot. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for your support during this time. It's great to be back and able to upload videos, and I'll have more stuff coming out in due time. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to join the Discord server and check out Domain Format if you haven't done it yet. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.